All right. All right, we're live. All right, cool. Let me fix the chat. Okay, perfect. Where's my cheat sheet? Where's my cheat sheet? Oh. What's up, everyone? Welcome and thank you for joining Ian and myself. Thank you, Ian, for doing this with me. That's awesome. It's the first time not only I do the kind of webinar, but it's my first time doing live stream on YouTube. I can see I'm live, but if there's any technical difficulty or anything, I need to see it on the chat. Otherwise, I won't even know. Anyway, I can see the mic is working. We're ready to go. So this one is going to be on Kimura, and it's going to be a relatively short but concise one. So in other words, we're not going to go over all the details of every single position that Kimura is involved. We're rather going to look at the concepts and couple of main positions that we can actually branch in and out of. We're going to connect them together, but we're not going to branch out as much as like, oh yeah, Kimura completes like everything and anything, because first of all, that's going to take probably a few hours, but secondly, because it's a lot of information that I don't even have compiled yet. I am working on compiling a Kimura course coming up, but that's not going to be what we're going to do today. But it will include some important concepts in terms of Kimura, and we'll discuss those. So first of all, the Kimura is, I assume that if you're watching this, you know what a Kimura is, but I'm going to show it anyway. It's a figure 4 grip on, just put your head down this way, yeah. It's a figure 4 grip on the one of my opponent's arms. So I'm going to grab his wrist, then I'm going to go under his armpit or under his bicep here, and then I'm going to connect with my own wrist. Okay, so this is the Kimura basically. And this is the Kimura grip or Kimura trap, if you want to call it that way. But it's not the submission. How we do the submission, we're going to go over that in a second. Stay here, please. So the Kimura can be viewed as a grip from which we can attack different submissions. We're going to look over quite a few. Or it can be viewed as an actual submission, right? So we'll see what the prerequisites to make it a submission are, okay? But either way, you gotta be able to distinguish the two, because if your single goal is to Kimura your partner, as in submit your partner with Kimura, and you're trying too hard, you might miss out on opportunities along the way and actually submit your training partner with something else. We'll see some options. So don't be close-minded in terms of Kimura. Sorry, don't be close-minded in terms of Kimura, as in, I really put your hands together for me, please. I really need to get that Kimura. So stay as you are. Watch this. I can lift him off with that. That's how strong this grip is. Right? Well, maybe I can't lift him off, but the idea, right? So if I am only intent on like finishing the Kimura submission, I'm gonna miss out a lot of other good stuff, right? You can see where this is going. So why sometimes it's like, why bother? But I do bother with the Kimura trap, because it will lead me to good control, which will lead me to subsequent chains of submissions. All right. So sorry, stay here for a second. So with that being said, the one thing that I see that people do, and I consider that a mistake, but I've also seen some big brains on YouTube that declare that, and I don't mean that sarcastic, I mean like good people on YouTube that describe that as the way it should be, is how we grip the Kimura, okay? I do not condone or like to use this kind of grip. I hope it's visible from the camera from that distance what I'm doing. I'm gripping it like this, like a clamp, C-clamp, and then I grab like this, like I'm gonna grab his wrist. Why? Because when I do this, I'm weakening my arm. So even if I connect here, you can see that my wrist is like this. Okay, let's turn it over this way. You can see what happens with my hand here. my wrist is locked. Okay, it's literally locked in that position. So if I grab my own wrist, the one that's locked, with my other arm, the way I'm supposed to, and I keep this thumb in play, when Ian starts moving around and turn slowly the elbow towards the floor, that puts a lot of pressure. If I keep holding here, I am actually straining my thumb and whatever tendons go here into the wrist from the thumb. It's straining it because he's putting the pressure down into my wrist. Okay, it's unnecessary. And if I'm a lot stronger than him, or if I'm a strong guy, and I'm used to like rolling with weaker people, like physically weaker, what's going to happen is I can get around it by really like motorcycling my hands here and using strength. But in reality, it's bad mechanics. Uh, if I don't use a thumb and he keeps doing the same thing, there's no strain on my wrist. Nothing, right? Why? Because watch. Go ahead. See how my wrist can move freely anywhere I go. See that? Now, the problem with this grip without the thumb, this kind of grip like this, is that he can just pull his arm and break it, as opposed to here where he has to put a little more effort into it. However, when I grip it like this and I reinforce it with the other arm under his elbow or under his bicep here, and I don't even need to grip my own wrist. I can just cross it like this. I don't even need to grip his wrists. I can just, well, I do because he's going to pull it that way, but depending on the position we're in, it's hard for him to go anywhere because it's a key lock. That's called a key lock, basically, right? So I am, and then if I actually grab his wrist here without the thumb and do this, go ahead, it's very hard for him to free himself. He's going to have to involve his body, so just use your body to walk. There you go, right? So, but as far as arm strength is involved and durability on my hand here, my wrist, this is a lot better. So no thumbs. What about the other wrist? What about this wrist? I think that this is kind of the same thing. I feel a lot better if I just use regular grip here. And like I said, sometimes I don't even need to reinforce it like that. I can just go over and just kind of motorcycle both of my wrists. And what that does is it shoves his elbow towards the ceiling. You notice that, right? So if I'm just here and I grip, it's not bad. But if he starts turning into me, he can break it. Or if I motorcycle and do this, he starts doing the same thing. It's not impossible for him to do, but it's a lot harder, at least. And obviously, I don't have any control over his head right now, so that also contributes to him being able to turn. But it's a lot harder anyway if I straighten my arms and I motorcycle like this. Okay, so this is as far as grips go. Thank you. This is as far as grips go. I don't like to use thumbs like that. I use thumbless grips, and I look at the Kimura as more as a trap, or Kimura hold, Kimura trap, however you want to put it, rather than submission. Submission is just the actual shoulder lock, if you want to distinguish it. So shoulder or elbow lock, whatever you want to call it, right? So this is what this is going to be on about, how to use the trap, the Kimura trap, to get to different submissions and a few different positions rather than just how to finish the Kimura. With that being said, the next thing I'm going to show you is actually how to finish the Kimura, because the Kimura is we already have the grip, the Kimura grip, or the Kimura trap, and the obvious choice for the Kimura is, let's turn the other way actually, if you don't mind, so you're back towards, like this way, here. Like this, yeah. So the Kimura is, since I have the grip, is the obvious submission to go for first, right? So we're gonna assume that we got it here inside control. And when I'm going to show you what I think is the strongest submission from here, the strongest Kimura submission. It would be with me, my elbow on the floor, framing here, right? My other elbow underneath his tricep, right here where the elbow joint is. If you can see, that's right over here. So it's not on the elbow. It's not on this side of his elbow. It's behind the elbow, right? So I want to say above the elbow, because that to me is above the elbow, because if you look at me from here, this is above the elbow, this is below the elbow, but some people look at it this way, and this is below the elbow, and this is above the elbow. So let's not go with above and below. We're gonna go with behind the elbow rather. Okay. So this is it. If I'm too far towards his shoulder and I start finishing the Kimura, he can lift up his head and all that, and it's not going to be comfortable for him, but it's nothing crazy. If I bring my arm here, right, now I can start lifting his. I'm going to block his head in a minute, but now when I start lifting and pinning his wrist down, most likely his elbow is going to give in first, and then his shoulder. So you see people stepping over the head all the time, right? So the purpose of doing this is that if I step over his head and I pin his, are you okay there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I pin his wrist down, as I lift the elbow, his head starts coming up too, but then it's gonna hit my hamstring. It's not coming up anymore, right? Whereas I can actually keep going from here and lifting his elbow. So my arm here is lifting his elbow, my other hand is pinning down, and I can keep going. John Danaher refers to that as the power line over here, which is basically as I start from here and I throw my leg over, now I pin his wrist down and I start going, and I'm going to go very slowly, but I start putting my ear into his hip. And this is going to start, he should be feeling pressure on his elbow already, right? So from here, he can start trying to straighten his arm and all that stuff, but it's going to be impossible to actually defend. I mean, not impossible, probably possible, but not very likely that he's going to defend the finish, okay? So leg over the head prevents him from coming up. If I don't put that leg over the head and I try to do the same thing, he comes up with me, right? It's not the end of the world. I'm going to put his hand behind. I'm going to drive him down. Then I can step over, and now he's really fucked, right? But if he comes up here and he straightens his arm, now I lost it, okay? So I want to cover the head. Sorry. I want to cover the head, get my grips here. You see that my right elbow is right here by his ribs, by his waist. My right hand is pinning the wrist down. Okay, all my weight is on that wrist so that he doesn't straighten, he doesn't move it anywhere. It's pretty hard, and he's a pretty strong guy too. And then from here, I just bring my ear towards his hip, and he's tapping on the other side, okay? So, sometimes, by the way, when I do this, I have my right hip on his shoulder, on this shoulder. So if I try to put my right hip, if I keep it down here, and I try to step over his head, it's still gonna work, but I'm unnecessarily stretched here. Okay, I'll show that from the other angle in a second. Actually, let's rotate. See where my leg is? This leg here, it's all the way down. Rotate a little more. It's all the way down by his hips. I should actually slide it and bring it on top of the shoulder. That makes it impossible for him to come up completely, but it also makes it impossible for him to defend with the other hand. Yes. So when I attack heel lock of any kind, Americano or Kimura on this side, Ian doesn't want to turn away this way. He doesn't want to do that, because if he does that, then I'm going to finish, right? What he wants to do is actually turn into it. If I'm low here, shoot your hand through this gap here. Yep, shoot it here, and now just turn into the two. Yeah, and he's going to defend it successfully, right? When I put my hip on his shoulder, he can't do that because he can't turn anymore. So if I hold the Kimura here and I'm trying to do it, and you try to turn, you can't turn anymore. He can't turn, he can't sit up, and I got the finishing mechanics in place, okay? So the finishing mechanics are elbow on the floor, put all the weight on the wrist, my ear goes towards his hip, my finishing, this elbow here is right behind his elbow joint here. So this is gonna give me the maximum leverage from the fulcrum here to actually break, okay? And what's gonna go first in this particular position is probably the elbow, not the shoulder. Now, can we do it in other ways? Yes, I'm gonna show you two other ways that we can do it from here, where I don't have to step over the head, right? So sometimes I'm right here, right? And so instead of having your hand here, because if you have your hand down here, nothing stops you from but sometimes he's got his arm right here. He knows that if I'm going to be looking to step over the head, right? So you can't see that, but yeah, now you can see where the arm is, right? So he's stopping from stepping over. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of trying to step over, I can muscle my way through it. I can really go like, look, I can do this, like no problem. But instead, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take the more effort he puts into this, the weaker this arm becomes. So what I'm going to do now is, I'm actually going to start taking this wrist, this wrist, little by little up towards towards the line of his shoulder. So this is his shoulder line here. I want to bring his elbow at the shoulder line or above if he's a little more flexible. And then we're going to finish it here. And that's going to be more on the elbow, more on the shoulder than the elbow. So we're here, right? And I'm trying to step over and I can't. Now, you know what? Screw that. I get back to my 2 knees. Even if he tries to balance me and stuff, it's not a big deal. He's probably not going to go that way to your right, Ian, because then I'm going to finish it easier. You're probably going to try to balance me the other way. But at the same time, you're not going to want to relinquish that wedge with your right elbow, right? Because then I'm going to step over. So you're there, you're trying to push me and all that stuff. I'm good here, right? Because your shoulder and your hand are pinned down. Now, you may try to straighten your arm. I'm going to hold it here. And the more you straighten it, the weaker it's going to become on the way back. And I go 1, 2, 3. See how I pulled your elbow towards your shoulder? Right. Now stay here for a second without me keeping it. Stay here. You notice that this is the shoulder line here, and your elbow is above your shoulder line. Now watch the finish. That's pretty easy, right? No muscle on my part. But his elbow is here. I go step, don't. I go 1, 2, 3. I bring it here, and then I finish. Okay. So it's not really that hard to finish either. But I would much rather step over the head and use my entire body in the power line to be able to finish. I just find it easier. And then the last one, I'm going to show you. Your arm is okay now? Yeah. Yeah? It's barely starting, right? Now, the last one I'm going to show you, no, go back to back. Here, back. Watch this. This is a good one. Let's say that I got the Kimura here, and I'm trying to step, but I can't step over, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to this side of his body. I'm going to put all my weight on the arm, and I'm going to start going around this way. And as I travel, I'm going to put my right hip, this one here, on the same shoulder that I'm submitting. Watch. And now, when he tries to defend that shit, that's going to break very easily. Why? Because I'm pinning this shoulder down, I'm pinning his wrist down, and I'm doing this basically. Second, I'm doing this, right? I'm putting weight here, and I'm lifting the elbow off. And that should be, I don't know where it was, but my guess is on the elbow, towards the elbow and the Mercier. Yeah, but that's pretty tight right here, right? So I'm doing the exact same thing as if I'm stepping over his head, but I actually bypass his head altogether. Now, people might be concerned, oh, he's going to take your back, right? Go ahead. No way. How is he going to take my back if I'm pinning his shoulder down like this, right? I'm just laying down on his shoulder here, right? So this is a very strong finish too. And lastly, if I'm here and he's kind of holding or something, or he doesn't let me break this grip here, right? We can also go in for, I go deep like that. Sorry, let's turn a little bit this way. Rotate. That's good. That's good. I go from here. I'm trying to put the arm on the floor, but I can't. I'm gonna lean forward. If he puts his hand while I'm doing this, look. If he puts his hand on the floor voluntarily, I'm gonna get the Kimura. But I'm assuming he's not going to. I go in deep like this. My chest is on top of his chest. I'm sprawling here, and I'm stopping him from regarding on this side with my knee next to his hip. Okay, but I go deep here. Then I'm gonna grab my bicep, watch, and then I'm gonna grab my own elbow here. And now I go, all my weight is on that arm. And then from here, I can step around, I can keep going, and that becomes really strong here, okay? It's a lot of pressure on you. You gotta really, even if you survive that, you're gonna be so wasted that I'm just gonna be playing around after that, okay? So there's some finishes from this particular position, okay? So now I want to show you, so this is the side mount or cross side finishes. But we can also go to finish from, let's see my notes here. We can do it from north-south, which is actually how it's most popularly known, the Kimura, to be finished, okay? So north-south means we're here. People call that, Danica calls it a dorsal Kimura, because his dorsal, like this, look, when I grab it, it looks like a dorsal fin. It's called also bladed. I've heard people use bladed. I've used bladed too because his body is bladed. But it's essentially north-south because if you go down to your back, we're in north-south here. Plus, most of the setups come from me going north-south. So let's refer to it as north-south. Okay, so I go in. Is this you? I was like, is there an alarm? Is that a thing? Go ahead. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't want that north-south, does it? It doesn't want that north-south. Don't worry, it's Thanksgiving. Anyway, so the other position that's very well known to finish the Kimura is from here. Actually, this is how it's taught most of the time, right? So I take his hand right here, right? I pull it. You notice that I'm holding the Kimura like I told you before. I'll be holding it like that until further notice. And there's one position where I'm not going to hold it like that for a second, okay? But 99.9% of the time, this is it. All right, so from here, I'm just going to pull like this, okay? When I pull like that, I'm using my entire body, not just that, right? I pull from here. I assume that his hands are disconnected. Okay, we're going to assume that for now. And then from here, my goal is to, like people often teach it, you go here like that, and that's going to work, but it also makes it so that if I mess up with my control here, and he goes flat, go flat, go flat, then I'm going to lose it here. If he turns into me, so keep going, then turn into me, push on my, and I lost it, right? So what I'm looking to do here is a better idea, in my opinion, is to actually, as I rev that and I keep it here for a second, I'm going to put his hand behind his back. Not only behind his back, as in behind the plane of the back, the plane of the back, but I'm going to actually put his knuckles on his back here. So now when Ian, even if I mess up here, and now Ian starts going to his side, watch what happens. Boom, he's right in the power line. You see that? Because I'm already stepping over, I've already stepped over his head. When he goes down, all I have to do is switch my hips from going from my knees like this to going like this, right? When I put the hand behind his back, this way. When I put this hand behind his back and he goes to his back, now he's in a position where I have the Kimura with the hand on the floor, right? So as he goes to his back from here, all I do is boom. My leg is already over his head because I was in north-south, right? I was straddling his head. And then from here, obviously I had my Kimura. I just finished it the way we finished earlier. My advice to you is always get to that position, because always get to this rather. From here, finish it like that. You can also finish it here, no biggie. But I'm assuming that he's going to defend from here, right? And as he does, boom, you're on the power line and you finish right here, okay? Or whatever Danica calls it, power line, line of power. I have no idea what it's called. Power line sounds like something you have outside the street.
Line of power.
Yeah, line of power. I don't know, man. Whatever, you know. But you get the idea, that diagonal control that you have with the ear towards the hip. It's the strongest finish for the Kimura that I can imagine that I've actually experienced and that I have actually performed to other people. I think it's a lot better than doing this, because all it takes is for me not to have a good enough control. Or if his head turns loose here, watch. Use your right hand to push on my knee a little bit and free your head on that side. There you go, right? And now it's free, and now I'm going into like damage control here. I gotta go, oh shit, okay, now back to, good news is I'm in a good position, right? That's why I like the Kimura from top so much, because it leaves me in good position at all times. But bad news is I lost a valuable grip. Now, why do I say valuable? Because the next thing we're gonna look at is some, let me see my notes here. Next thing we're gonna be looking at is some some other submissions that stem from having these two positions, the north-south or dorsal Kimura hold and the side mount. Okay, so we did all this stuff. When we, like I said, I always prefer to go back to side mount and finish from there. Okay. With that being said, sometimes this is only possible if I actually isolate his arm, his hands. So go rotate this way, please. Yep. No. This way. So walk backwards. Walk back. There. Yeah. So here we are in a position where the north-south, but now most of the time he knows what's happening here and he's got his hands together, whichever way. Okay. So let's do this. Elbow a little bit here. I'm right here, but his elbow is open, right? So when that's the case, okay, when this elbow is open from his body, there's space here. What I'm going to be looking to do is actually step over, shin pin it, and then from here I can break that grip, right? If he's holding it tight and all that stuff, I can actually push down first and then pull it out. When I push down, I go for a thumb. That's another situation. I go for a thumb. Why? Because if I push from here, it gives me I can only go that far. When I go with the thumb, I can actually push down like this. Okay, it's a lot more pushing power here. See this? And then I break that grip, and then I can go for the finish that I just showed. Now, this is one way to do it. Another way to go about it is to actually go ahead and plant your hands, but keep your elbow on. Is right here. Is to actually step over this elbow here. See that? When I do this, I'm losing control over his head. So what does he do? He's going to go to his backmost leg. As he goes to his back, it leaves me with the triangle isolation here. The side triangle, walk towards me a little bit. There. Let's see. See that? I got his arm and his head trapped. And then from here, you can finish the triangle. Now the triangle finish here is a little tricky because he's going to be trying to open his elbow. He opens his elbow, he's going to separate my legs. But look what happens with this hand when he opens his elbow. He can't open his elbow and keep two hands clasped together. When that happens, I'll show it from the other angle. I'll take this arm, take his hand over here, and I'm going to make a little room and put it on the floor. When I put it on the floor, he's still concerned about the triangle. Now he's got to be concerned about the Kimura too. Okay? Now I put this elbow on the floor next to his body. Let's switch my stance and I finish the Kimura. Okay, I'll show it on the other side now. Let's go, I guess this way. No. Yeah, this one, is it? How do we do this? Oh, yeah. So I showed you what happened with the triangle on that side. So we're here, I see that gap in his elbow and between his elbow and body. I'm going to step over and back heel into his armpit. And as I do that, I'm already going to start falling to my side because I'm going to anticipate him actually going down to his back. So I start falling to my side and I pull him here. My left thigh is under his head, right, under his shoulder line. My right leg back heels. I cross my feet like in a figure four, like a triangle. And then he's holding his hands together here. So he doesn't get Kimura, right? He's still holding his hands together. I'm going to take this arm, and I'm going to thread it towards my knee. Look. Then I'm going to grab his tricep. I'm going to unlock my feet. No problem. He can't pull his arm out. He can't pull it out because I'm holding the tricep. And I'm going to come up to my my shoulder. And I'm going to shoot my hips deep into his face. And then I'm going to lock it even harder. Tighter, brother. And then I'm going to start finishing. Now he's about to tap, or if he doesn't want to tap, he's going to have to open his elbow. He opens his elbow, he's going to have to let his hands go. As soon as he lets his hands go, I open my feet. I put this hand on the floor. I rotate, finish the Kimura, okay? With a pin on the arm here. I don't want to put too much stress on his elbow. So, you play between the triangle. It doesn't look like a tight triangle. It doesn't have to be tight. But because I'm pulling his shoulder into his neck, my thigh is on the other side, it's really tight. Okay, so he's really going to want to do this. If I'm holding his arm here, he can't bring this arm with the other, so he's going to have to let go. When he lets go, it's much easier to go. So that's when I go for lateral submission, right? And so you can play between those two submissions, between the triangle and the Kimura. So you try the Kimura, gets his hands together, but you see the opening of the elbow from his body. You shove your leg in there, your foot, your heel, your back heel, you fall to the side like a triangle. He decides to defend the triangle by opening his trapped elbow. You're still holding the other elbow, put the hand to the floor, finish the Kimura with the hip switch. Okay? The that's a very good situation where we can actually interchange submissions. Now there is another situation where as he goes, so let's go this way. Just put your legs down so that the camera can see. Put your legs down right there. Okay, so there's another situation. Now if you notice here, his elbow is down and he's tight. Okay, his head is around my legs are around his head. Okay, there's no way I'm gonna pull this here. He's really strong. What makes it even stronger is put your legs out the other way, but don't. Yeah, I'm not gonna try to yank it. What makes it even stronger is that his elbow is so close to his body. It's a closed elbow. It's very strong. Okay, that's the position I can lift him up from. Now this one is one of our favorites here in the gym. We learned it from Gustavo quite a while back, and it goes like this. I fold to my side. It's called the nutcracker or leg scissor. I fold to the side with the Kimura grip. And as I fall, my knees are around his head here, okay? Now I'm gonna cross my feet, like top over bottom, like top behind bottom foot. And I'm going to extend, turn your head to one side so it doesn't crush your trachea. I'm going to extend like this, okay? So what that makes him do is either tap, for which he's going to use his right hand most likely, right? It's either tap or push my leg off. He's still using his right hand, as you can see, right? Which means that this hand is free. The moment let me get that again. I start going for it. Get your hands together, get your hands together. I start going for that. Just go with your normal reactions. Put that hand on the floor right here next to him. I come up. All right, so it's kind of the same thing. You're using one submission to set up another. The Kimura is important. Like I said, I have the Kimura grip, and the Kimura is going to be my primary submission. With that being said, that he's going to use his body, his skills to defend that Kimura, but he's going to have to give me something else. Okay, so we have the triangle, the side triangle. We have the nutcracker. Okay, we can also go for something else here, which I personally like a lot. I like doing a lot, but I got to tell you, this gives up the position a little bit. But so what? He's got his hands together right here, right? So I can go for that. I'm gonna lean forward into his tricep push. Now look what happens with my legs when I lean forward. They're light, okay? I'm gonna lean forward and I hold the Kimura here. I lean forward and I'm gonna. Sorry, just one second. Get yourself close to the side. I'm right here, right? Lean forward. I'm gonna bring my left knee behind, more towards his butt, right here. And I'm gonna come in this way. Now, I'm holding that Kimura with my motorcycle grips, right? So that if he tries to free himself from there, it's pretty hard, right? And then I'm gonna extract this foot. I'm gonna put it in. We can break the grip here if you want. I still hold the Kimura so it doesn't turn anywhere. Hold it tight. Break, or I can go into this. But it's an armbar situation, which means that, right, and then you finish yamak, right? It's an armbar situation, which means that I gave up position here. If he defends successfully my armbar, go, extract your elbow. I might end up on the bottom. So I would probably, even though I've been going lately a lot for the armbar, that's because I've been working on it. But strategically or tactically, if you're in a match, I think it's a much better idea to stay on top in general, especially if you get the Kimura trap. So there's no reason to relinquish that. Maybe there's 20 seconds on the clock, and if you don't finish the submission, you're going to lose the match. You don't care if they come out on top anymore. You go for that armbar. You don't play around with chaining submissions with 20 seconds on the clock. But other than that, in normal circumstances, you definitely want to exhaust your options, or at least go through some of the options, not exhaust them necessarily. And then, try and do that. Because look, if I get that north-south, and let's say I'm right here and I'm trying all that's possible, and he stuck his elbow in and all that stuff, and hold on a second, I put my glass away. And I fall here, maybe I fall to the nutcracker or something like this, and he's not tapping or something, he's not letting go here. Maybe I don't have the angle here, I can still come back up, right? And then, I look at the clock, oh no good. Then we can start finishing arm bars, triangles, and all that stuff, right? So the idea is, if you have the time, don't give up the position with an arm bar fall. But if you don't have the time, go for it. Also, if you've exhausted the other options, it's just not working, there's always that, okay? So those are some good options. Now, how do we get to these positions? Because you say, well, yeah, but how am I going to get to that Kimura? Okay, I get it, Good thing is that you can practice the Kimura and all that stuff, the way we're doing it. Practice your finishes, and then practice your entries. Here's why. Because it serves you no purpose to enter into a submission hold and not know what to do from there, right? This is what happens usually with beginners when they grab the Kimura. They don't know what to do from there besides the Kimura, and they just don't get that Kimura because the other guy's holding for dear life, which they would, right? And then what? Nothing, Then they get desperate and then they give up the position altogether, right? So learn what to do from that position first, then work on the entries. With that being said, I have to show you the entries, so I'm going to do that in a second. We're going to do how do we get to the first one? Okay, so we're going to get to the side mount here. Let's go on this side, just right here. So you notice that I have him in a classic position here, where he's got his elbows in, like his forearms for frames. He's turned into his side a little bit. I got my head and arm, my cross face and this, right? So first of all, I need to isolate this arm, okay? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this hand. So pay attention, I'm going to show it just once because this is going to get a little too long. But I'm going to take this hand. I'm going to do it very slowly. I'm going to go elbow towards his hips. Now, you see that even the more he's framing on me, the easier it becomes. But we're going to assume that he's not putting any pressure into the frame. I go here, and I take my knuckles this way. Okay, see this? Like that. So I'm going to go palm towards me and stick it in here. So I'm not losing the underhook because he doesn't have the underhook from here. Yeah? Try to get the underhook. Makes no sense, right? On the contrary, he's going to give me what I want. So he's not going to do that. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my elbow to the floor, put a little pressure, and start opening. Then I'm going to put my head here. Try to regain that. You don't have it anymore. Not only that, now I have this. Right? Now from here, I'll show you what to do. But we got to isolate the other arm too. For the other arm to isolate, it's a little trickier. In fact, I'm a big advocate of isolating this arm first, the near side arm. Why? Because if I'm here and he's got the near side, he still has very good defenses there. He can still frame, he can push, because his hips are not being controlled. He can still push off of me and recover guard. Go ahead, recover from there. Yeah, right there. And even if I have this underhook here, it's not that big of a deal for him, okay? In fact, it might become a liability for me at some point. So I showed you how to recover this. You can replay it a few times. But first, what I'm going to do is recover the other arm. Not recover, but rather isolate the other arm. So stay where you are. I'm going to do it on this side. So if I turn over here, this is going to be the far arm, which I'm going to be underhooking. And this is going to be the near arm, which I'm going to be isolating first. Okay, I need that arm isolated. So watch. Number of ways. Okay, I could go in. Sorry about that. I could go up like I'm doing knee belly. Stay with the frame. Yeah. I can go knee belly. I'm going to go towards the sternum here. Up towards the sternum. Okay. So I'm not going knee belly. I'm going up towards the sternum, and then I'm going to bring it down like this. Now from here, I can just repeat it to the other leg. Now I can work on the other arm easily because he's trapped, okay? Try to free yourself from there. It's pretty hard, right? Now I'm gonna work on this arm, and now I got this top side crucifix. If I want to do the mouse trap, I'm gonna use this knee, push. Now I got the mouse trap, okay? So I'll show you how to get to Kimuras and stuff like this from this position. But I'll show this one more time because this is really important. I got this position here, and you frame it. In fact, the more you frame it, the better, really. The problem is that I don't want it to recover guard. Now I need this arm here isolated, right? You see that hand sticking out? I need that arm isolated. Put my hands here next to his hips. I'm gonna go up towards his sternum and break that. Saw that? Now from here right away, I drop my weight back down. Can't recover guard because my butt is in the way. See that? I'm going to bring the knee over and repin it. I try to pin his arm on his bicep, even if it's just above from the elbow. I don't want to pin it here on the forearm because if I pin the forearm, you can kind of quite easily pull it up. I pin the bicep, go ahead. Can't. There's two joints on that side of my leg, okay? So from here, I start isolating this arm, which I showed you on the other side of the camera, right? And then I do this. Now, from this position, I am ideal to start going into the north-south Kimura. Here's how. I'm right here pinning. I'm gonna put my hand out. I'm gonna lean forward and windshield light on my legs. And then I'm going to bring my right elbow here. I'm gonna step over his head. I can cut myself with this arm to pull him onto his side. Try to free yourself from here. It's pretty hard, right? And then from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna step over. And this moment, he's gonna connect his hands. He's gonna connect his hands together. I'm gonna grab my Kimura, and I'm gonna try and work. The best part is that I already have his arm pinned. So if that's the case, I can start breaking the grip, change to no thumbs, and finish the way we did before, okay? That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is, stay here. We're gonna get to the mouse trap and finish from side, cross-side mounts, okay? So here's how. We're assuming that we still have to isolate this arm, okay? We're here, right? So what I'm gonna do now is, I do the same thing, and I'll show you how I did it on the other side. I come up here like this, look. I bring my weight forward, but my knee is still next to his hip. My elbow is here on the hip, so it doesn't recover guard. Now from here, I go knee to the sternum towards his face. Watch, my left knee comes up to the sternum and towards his face. Put your right arm down, please. See that? Okay, cool. Put it back up. From here, he tries to recover or something like this. I can control him pretty well, right? Now I'm gonna slide my knee towards his shoulder. Boom. And I isolate that arm. You saw that from the other side. Now here, instead of actually pinning with the other shin, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this leg, I'm gonna bring it on this side of his arm, and then I'm gonna scoop with my other leg so I can get, I'll show it one more time on that side, so I can actually get under his armpit. Now I isolated this arm here. I isolate this arm here, right? Now from this position, I bring it up, up, up. I can scoop his head in, and you try to free yourself now, Ian. Good luck. It's really hard. You try to frame on me and free yourself. Really hard. That here is the trap that we're talking about. That's super hard to get out of. People are going to start using this arm. You start using this arm, makes it even easier, right? So then what I'm going to do here is pin this arm. Oh shit, that's your back shoulder. It's okay. I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to show that's okay. Okay, so we're going to show it from the other side. Okay. So let me show that leg work one more time on this side. Stay here. Stay here. From here, come up and in, and then this leg goes in behind the elbow, just to give me room for the other leg. Now I scoop. Now I trap. Now I use my elbow to pull his head into my lap. Right? And this is it. Now, how do we finish from here? So I got the mouse trap, right? This is the mouse trap. Let's turn, rotate. How do we finish the mouse trap? The more he pushes on me and frames, the easier it becomes. All right? Now I got as soon as I do this, I'm gonna get the wrist. And then I'm gonna come forward here towards his elbow. Now I got a straight arm lock. What do you think he's gonna do when I do a straight arm lock? One of two things. He's gonna either bend his arm that way, which is gonna give me what? Americana. I pull up, go under, I take the Americana, finish the Americana this way. So we have the straight arm lock here. Straight arm lock is actually as he pushed his arm, as he extended his arm, I pin it down and I bring my forearm, this forearm here, towards his elbow. And then I finish the straight, let me finish the straight arm lock here. I finish the straight arm lock. It's pretty savage, right? But it's low percentage because he has options. He can put his hand up towards his head like this, or he can bring it down the other way. He brings it down the other way, he's in the Kimura, okay? And then from here, step over, we finish the submission, okay? So this is basically how to get the mousetrap. So we have 3 submissions from the mousetrap itself. We have the straight arm lock, we have the Americana, and we have the Kimura. And those are just submissions on that side. Now what about positions? We can do, if we get to, I'm going to show you another submission in a minute from the north-south Kimura. But if we get to this position right here, like that, and I'm over here, right? Now I can get to really good situations where I'm going to scoop his head up right here, like that, and then I'm going to start going into the mount, right? A lot of times I can let this arm go, and as I let go, it starts pushing on my knee. You get into a triangle, okay? Just because of the isolation of this arm. I'm attacking Kimura, but he's not giving me the Kimura. So from the mouse trap, the position that gave me the Kimura, I can actually go to other situations. We can also go to the back from there. I'm not going to show everything, but those are some good situations that we have. One more submission right here. Look, I got this, right? I'm trying to get it, and then what he does is he starts going down to his back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let go, back step, and shoot my arm through here. I'll show it from the other end. Now I got the head and arm choke, right? I keep walking. I come up on top, and I can finish a head and arm choke here. Or if he turns away, I can start taking the back. Right? So all these are good options. Good options to finish a submission of any kind. Change the position, take the back, all of it with the thread of the Kimura. And let's not forget that we can also finish the Kimura in all these positions. So how do we get to these positions? Because that's important, right? So first, now we master all these things, all these submissions, or at least some of them. But I would say have a backup, have a setup and a backup, okay? How do we get to these positions? First of all, to get to the mousetrap, I already showed you from here how to get to the mousetrap, all right? Now I'm going to show you how to get to the other position. I did show you how to get to it when I pinned the arm here with my shin, windshield wiper, and then bring him up to a north-south Kimura. I'll show it again on this side. So we're here. I come up, I isolate this arm, I repin it with my left leg, this leg, right? From here, I keep it like that. I'll start doing that. So I open, I get the arm on this side of my head, okay? He tries to bring it back, not possible because I'm holding my head here, okay? Now, I'm gonna windshield wiper my legs. You already saw that from the other angle. Now from here, with my hand on this side of his head, I'm gonna grab his shoulder. I'm gonna bring this elbow towards his sternum. Look. Now try to free yourself from there. It's very hard. There's weight on him right here. The more he tries, the more weight I'm gonna put. Then I go over here. I change. By now he's gripping his hands together. I'm going to, there you go. He freed his arm from underneath. No problem. Now I'm looking to step over into that. Close the elbow here. You don't see that, but you can take my word for it. You close the elbow there, no problem. I go to nutcracker. Sorry about that. Yeah. I go to nutcracker. He starts defending the nutcracker. If he does, he puts a little bit forward. Finish the Kimura. Okay. He straightens his arm. I attack the arm lock. Straight arm lock. Here. Okay. He puts his arm up. because I'm pinning that shoulder, it's very hard for him to turn into me. I get the Americana here. He said, screw that. He points his arm forward. I get back here. He's not giving me that hand, not a problem. I can get back in here and start working on the same thing. Okay? So the whole idea is to just play into the position. Okay? This is how to get to the north-south Kimura from the side. How do we get to it from north-south actually? This is a little trickier. But nevertheless works very well. I'm gonna show you a couple of ways. So first things first, we're in north-south, right? In the month of June, we give them the father's milk, right? But now we don't, okay? So what we're gonna do here is, I'm gonna try and have my arm, let's not talk about the other arm right now, just because the camera doesn't see it. I'm gonna try and have my arm inside here, in this space. I don't want him to have the inside space like he does now, right? So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna have it here like this, pin it, right? Alternatively, what I can do also is bring it over here. Once I do that, I'm gonna pin the arm here like that, okay? Now, we're not talking about the other side yet, because the other side will give me setups too if he starts moving. So from here, I'm just gonna bring my knee up, and then we work the other side just like we did before. See that I have the pin, take it to the side, step forward the head, and work. Okay, so that's how we pin this arm on this side. Or if we have inside position. If we don't have inside, let's turn the other side. The other way. Yeah, perfect. Now pay attention. This one takes a lot of feel. Okay. We get to north-south. He has inside position. I don't like that too much, but he does it anyway, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put my arm in this position. Now he doesn't let me shin pin him here. He doesn't let me expose it, right? No problem. As long as his hand is over my shoulder. Watch. I go in, I lift here like this, and I put my thumb. Put my thumb right here in his armpit like that. Okay? I'm palm down, right? Go here. Now, doesn't matter what he does with the other hand for now. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna turn palm up and I'm gonna roll his shoulder over my wrist. So what it looks like is this. So like this. Okay? And that feels shitty for him. Okay? Because it's right on his ribs. Now, this is gonna feel a little shittier too when states I expect that. So that's gonna feel a little shittier too when I do this and I go and I put my head, my ear, like along that power line, but in reverse, into his pocket here. Watch this. And then I'm gonna get off my knees and on my toes. Look. Move around. It's really tight. Okay? This hand is always gonna be down here somewhere. You grab it, I slide, and I'm in position. I actually like to take the arm bar from here because he's already so exhausted by now. He's just hoping that this weight comes off of him, and it really, an immediate submission makes more sense. It's just, you can tell how much weight there is, but it takes a lot of feel for that one. So inside positioning to isolate the shin pin, or reverse underhook it's called, when you go under the armpit, like palm down, and then palm up and knee through him. All right. And now I'm going to show you how to get to these positions from, let's say, half guard. Okay. So let's say I'm going to talk about T Kimura for a moment, and then I'm going to address the rest. T Kimura is basically this. We're in, I think John Danaher gave it that name too, but whatever, you know. It's like a crucifix type of Kimura, except in a crucifix I have that arm over there with my legs, right? So it's a crucifix without that arm, right? So this is the T Kimura right here. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm weak in the T Kimura. I don't feel good. People overpower me all the time with this. Like someone in his position, start bringing your walk, because his hips are free, he can walk, and then take that elbow in, yes, hand fight and all that stuff. Now, there's things we can do from here. So from this position, I'll show you how to get to it. From this position, as he goes into walk, and then I can walk with him, no doubt. Now he starts to hand fight this. So put your knees down for me, please.
You're not gonna walk anymore, but put your knees down, yeah, and start hand fighting. Hand fighting. Then as he hand fights, I can take this leg. So I make a little space here. I straighten my arms. I make some space, and I take this leg in. Now I'm into the side triangle. Remember that side triangle we spoke about? I can finish the side triangle, but because he's not connecting his hands, I'm gonna put this one on the ground and finish the Kimura. Sometimes. So if everything goes like that every day, that's great. I'm not gonna say anything about Kimura. But a lot of times what they do is they'll bring this elbow in between here. Go ahead. Right. So just bring the elbow in between my elbows and just, yeah, right there. And now I'm losing the position. Now I have to scramble up. Okay? And it's really a scramble from here because he might beat me to it. Okay. Also, it hurts. When he does that, if I'm the harder I'm holding here, the tighter I'm holding, the more it's gonna hurt me if he does it like go for it. Right there, yeah. And now imagine me holding that with the thumb, and he does that. It's gonna probably injure my wrist. Okay, so the Kimura, great if you have options, but the Kimura is great to take the back. Sometimes people what they're gonna. So let's talk about turn the other way. Turn the other way. This is not a good idea for him because from here I can start finishing that Kimura, right? So he's not gonna want to turn away because that's gonna leave his hand behind his back. He knows that he can't have his hand behind his back. So he starts turning this way, but he makes a little space with his hips and all that stuff. So I can try to come up a little. There. When it comes up, I put that knee inside, right? And then we see what he does with the other arm. If his arm is up like it is now, I'm gonna throw this leg over. I'm gonna go in here and then take his back the other way. Boom. Go back to the same position. Give me space for the leg to throw in. This space here. I put my knee inside, okay? Now he has his hand down, so I can't really do that. I can trap it here, watch. Now I can either take the back with the arm trapped or go to crucifix from here. Whatever, whatever works, right? The Kimura has many options. How do we get to the Kimura? How do we get to the side, cross side? Here's how. We take half guard. Take half guard. From half guard, I can make that knee shield, right? And all that stuff. I can go over and he has his hand down and I go in this position, right? I trap his arm here. Trap the hand here, right? As I do that, I get my Kimura. He's holding. I can't. The thing about it is I can't finish the Kimura here. Let's move a little bit. I can't finish the Kimura here. I could though finish a straight arm lock, but it's easy to defend. Right? He's gonna move his hand around. Why can't I not finish it? Because I'm locked in his legs and I'm looking that way. Remember, my hips are looking that way. I need to look the other way to finish the Kimura, or at least be perpendicular with him. So what I'm gonna do here is get your half guard tight, yeah. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna take this leg right here, this knee, and I'm gonna wedge it in this right here, right? So as I hold the Kimura, it's gonna feel like I'm unstable for a second, but worst come to worst, to sweep me, where are we gonna go? Into the Kimura track, right? I already have the Kimura track here. So what I'm gonna do is come up and wedge my knee in there. That. Turn a little, rotate a little this way, okay? Yeah, right there. See how I wedge my knee? This knee? Perfect. Now, I got a couple of options. I can push off, extract my leg, and roll over my shoulder. Watch. And now I'm in the Kimura. And then from here, we decide what to do, including, but not limited to, put the hand down, walk over, and finish the Kimura. That's how we get to the Kimura. But what I personally prefer, because I'm not a big Kimura fan, Kimura fan, what I personally prefer to do is this. I'm gonna come up. Sorry about that, but I'm gonna bring my knee again. Then I'm just gonna extract my leg. I'm gonna do this, extract my leg, and then I'm gonna stay in side control. When I get to side control, now you know what to do, right? Bring it here, finish here, go over, finish here, and whatever you decide to do from the earlier part of the webinar. So you come up, you wedge your knee on this hip or across, it's even better. And you just push yourself off. You can't hold your leg anymore. You push yourself out and you roll all the way to T-Kimura, or you stay in side control. I prefer to stay in side control and then finish from there, because I already have the Kimura grip from side control. All right, so this is a good way to get to it. I already showed you other ways. We pass the guard, we isolate the arms. We get to north-south, we isolate the arms. So these are quite popular options, on how to get to the Kimura. There's also rolling type Kimura traps where if you sit up from your place in guard, like right there, it's fine. Where if I can put his hand on the floor here, right? You see that from this position now, I'm gonna shoot my arm behind right here, and I land in this. He trapped himself because he had his arm out, but most likely it's gonna be like this. All right, so these are great setups, but you see the other ones more often. So we're playing with a little bit of a higher percentage of situations. All right, and to finish, I am gonna show bottom side Kimura, but I'm not gonna go over how to do and all that because it's a short webinar and it's on top side Kimura primarily. Let's do the bottom side here. Half guard first and then close guard. So half guard, I do not like to go for Kimura from half guard. I have the knee shield, and I go for that Kimura here. While I have the knee shield, it's not that big of a problem. But in order to finish that Kimura, I need to release the knee shield so I can get closer to him. Okay? When I get closer to him, my whole thing here is to do what? Get his hand out and put it behind his back. I'm in half guard, so I could either finish it here by straight going flat to my back, holding this leg, or even crossing my feet here and just finish right here. Or most of the time, people will roll. As you go ahead and roll. And as he rolls, he's going to take me with him, which is great because it puts me in a position where now I can start finishing. Thing is, sounds all great, right? The thing is, it's very hard to get to that position from bottom half guard, at least at a higher level. You see that all the time. White belts, blue belts, purple belts doing that too. But you see less and less purple belts attacking the Kimura from here. There's a good reason for it. Very easy to defend and hard to attack if they catch themselves in time. All he has to do is grab his thigh inside. I once grabbed my nuts and I just held on to them. Tough nuts. So I go for that Kimura here. I come up. It leaves me in a bad position. It's easy for him to defend. Ian puts his weight down on me here, right there. Put your head over my shoulder, there, and then step over me. And now you can start taking the back from there. Just go ahead and take the back. Yep, right there. And I just gave up my back because I turned away in a back position, okay? Just to give you an example. He could also counter Kimura me there, which is horrible. Watch, I go here. He grabs the inside of his thigh, and now what he does is use your right hand on my hip, posture up, and slowly starts sitting down. Yeah, tap. See what happens is he's pulling my hand up and he's sitting on slowly down towards my shoulder. So it's really bad, okay? How I would do that, I would do it reactively. If I see that he's really like trying to get here, right? When he does that, no problem. He's already forward. So what I'm going to do is kick my knee shield open and just jump over this way. So kick my knee shield up as he's pushing forward and all that stuff. Boom. Because he's already pushing forward, I don't have to come up, right? This is a big difference right there. Plus his hand is already out. His hand was out here. It's not going to go anywhere, right? It's not. I'm not going to let him tuck it in, right? Right here. And then from here, I can do the finish or he rolls and all that stuff, right? So that's the one time I would go for that Kimura. And last thing I'm going to show is close guard Kimura, which is a time that I go with the thumb. Okay, I'll show you why. So we're playing close guard, and I decide to go. He's kind of trying to posture and all that stuff. I decide to go for a hip bump sweep. I'm going to take a collar tie. I'm going to come up to my hand here. I'm going to hip into him, and I'm going to collar tie him this way. Watch. What he does is he posts on his hand, right? I'm going to go over, grab that hand like this. I could also do it like that, but it's okay to do it like this. I'm going to close my guard, turn to my side, and now I can start pushing. I can get back to my regular Kimura grip, and I'm going to start pushing his arm into the back here, and then can you roll from here? You can't because I have this grip. So it's like the other one, like the half guard, but much better. Okay, and then from here it's very hard for him to defend that shit. Okay, so this is a good way to do it. Go for that grip. Traditionally, it's not like this. It's here. I put his hand on the floor, and I use this kind of grip with the thumb. I pin it down. Then I come up, and then I come back down, and now I'm gonna pull my elbow into his shoulder. I'm gonna turn this way and finish the Kimura. But that's kind of unlikely to happen. He's not gonna let me pin his arm there. This is more like it. He's starting to, and then we get the Kimura here. See, his hand is away from my leg, from his legs. I can put it behind his back and finish. All right. So, if you're looking for Kimuras from bottom, these are probably your best options. I'm not saying they're the only one, but they're probably the best. Everything else is a closed loop. So it's like a Kimura system where once you have the Kimura from top, in those two positions, cross-side like perpendicular or north-south, you can go to a bunch of stuff and you can always reshoot it and come back to the previous one. Unless you go to the armbar from north-south, in which case you better finish. I'm not saying the armbar is a bad situation, don't get me wrong. But stay in the loop so you can chain your submissions, and worst come to worst, you're still on top. All right? But guys, thank you very much for joining. That was great. I think, like I said, that's my first live stream on YouTube, let alone webinar, and I hope that this stays. I'm gonna do my best to have it like on the YouTube channel, and you guys can view it and review it for free as long as it's on the channel. All right. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for staying. I wanna see, is there any questions that we can answer? Let's look up here. Oh shit! I need my glasses. You need glasses for reading?
I don't.
No, you said so. Yeah. It's like I wasn't here in the last. Is the last one kind of like a Tarico Plata but with your arms? Which one was the last one? Which one was the last one we're referring to? Oh, I think the power one where I go like this.
All the way over when you're like hip down on my.
I think this is the one. Huh? Yeah. I think. Sorry. I think this is the one we're talking about when I go up. Turn this way. I get here and I get like this. Probably that's the one we're talking about there. It's like Tarico Plata because he has the Tarico Plata is a leg Kimura. Tarico Plata is from right here. Yeah, Tarico Plata is from right here when he connects his hands, right? And I go up and over. I go in this way. Then I thread my arm, and then I start coming around. This is another option, but I personally don't do it, to be honest with you. But it's a great option. The more I start sitting, the more pressure on your shoulder, and you stop it right there. So
there was one where you come all the way, like when you step over.
Yeah.
You come all the way over.
I know.
That's what.
No, Tarico Plata is the only thing that's Tarico Plata is that a leg. It's like using your legs for it. That's it. Other than that, it's not. It's not a. Maybe reminiscent to it because I use my arms like that, if that's the one you're referring to, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But that was the that's a Tarico Plata, really. Let's see, any
What would that break?
the Tarico Plata?
It just felt like pressure.
I mean, it's gonna break eventually. Your same thing. It's a Kimura, but it's like using your legs.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pressure, but as soon as so if you keep your hand where it was, it's gonna break probably shoulder, elbow. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If you let go of your hand, it's gonna start breaking like that. I mean, for that matter, omoplata is like a Kimura too. You know,
Sure.
it's a shoulder lock essentially. So yeah. Any other questions? We can answer while we're here, and then we're gonna call it.
It's cool that we had a question.
Huh?
I love that we had a question.
Oh, there was one. We should get more questions more often. I'm gonna do another webinar probably next month or the month after. We'll see, but I'm gonna do more live streaming definitely.
Deeper into Kimuras or? Something different.
Oh, something else, maybe. Yeah, something else. Yeah. The Kimuras, those are my main options from Kimura. I'm not saying that this is all there is. Obviously, it's not, and I don't know everything. But these are my main options from like Tarico Plata I don't use, for example, right? So I don't know. But anyway, I think that's it. Let's call it a day, and let's call it a night. It's almost afternoon right now. Thanks, man.
It's a good time.
Good times. Yep. And also, we have a podcast, Ian and I. It's called the Four Cauliflower Ears Show, and it's named so after the two of us having cauliflower ears. He's more than mine. But tune in and watch that too. I'm going to put a link down below. All right. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already, and follow on Instagram, Chocobloke. And what's your Instagram handle? You forgot it.
I'm a creeper.
Look up
I'm a creeper.
Ian Lewis. Ian Lewis. Lewis with Lewis.
Unless you're the FBI.
Unless you're the FBI, then you've probably been there like a million times already. The local police for sure. The local police for sure. I don't know the FBI. All right. Thank you guys for joining. All right.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was fun.